Just ahead on CTV News. It's day 2 of the government shutdown. We break down everything you need to know. Plus,
it's officially been 1 day, 16 hours, and 30 minutes since the government shutdown began. I'm Noel James, and just ahead, we'll show you some reactions from Prince George's residents.
And
jury deliberations are underway in a federal courthouse in Greenbelt involving a former Prince George's County police officer. I'm Katera Jones. I'll have all those details coming up on CTV News.
Those stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, this is CTV News for October 2nd. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Anaya Falcon. Thanks so much for joining us. It's day 2 of the government shutdown. Democratic lawmakers are calling on Republicans to come together so they can reopen the government.
And this means hundreds of thousands of people are being furloughed or working without pay. CTV's Jonathan Hunter has been staying on that story. Jonathan, can you bring us up to speed on where things stand?
Yes, good evening, Anaya and Michaela. And at the moment, there's no word yet on when the government will reopen. Lawmakers are actually taking a break today because of Yom Kippur, the Jewish holiday. So the Senate has paused budget talks today. Republicans are planning to resume holding votes tomorrow. Democrats and Republicans are blaming each other for the shutdown. When you go to the Department of Housing and Urban Development's website, it reads, the radical left in Congress shut down the government. HUD will use available resources to help Americans in need. A similar message is posted on the Department of Justice's website. Some political experts believe the messages being posted on the government pages may be violations of the Hatch Act. The law prohibits civil servants in the executive branch from engaging in any political activity. Yesterday, the Democratic members of Maryland's delegation spoke to reporters about their frustration with the shutdown. Senator Chris Van Hollen says it was a sad day, but not a surprising one. Democrats said they will not support the temporary spending bill the Republicans put forward because they want the bill to address health care. The tax credits that made health insurance more affordable are set to expire at the end of the year. Democrats believe the health care premiums will spike, making it harder for everyday Americans. But Republicans are not budging on the issue.
They've stripped millions of people of ACA tax credits that they need in order to pay their premiums and get health protection for their families. They've caused everybody's health care costs to go up.
This was all avoidable. We know that. We have to keep saying that because they make it seem like it was inevitable. It was avoidable. All it took was a willingness to discuss, to negotiate, to share thoughts and ideas.
And so we cannot do this at the expense of folks who are going to wake up on January 1st, in Maryland at least, with a 13% on average increase for their health insurance.
And Republicans have all along blamed Democrats for the shutdown. Maryland Congressman Andy Harris says Democrats chose to shut down the government over free health care for illegal aliens, a claim Democrats have denied.
All right, thanks so much, Jonathan. Now, we do know that that government shutdown will have an impact on people who live here in the county. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so roughly 70,000 federal employees live right here in Prince George's County, and County Executive Aisha Braveboy says there is help out there. There is rental assistance, housing assistance, and food assistance because, as we know, when the government is shut down, several people will go without a paycheck, and if you need that assistance, you can dial 211. Ladies.
Thanks, Jonathan. And be sure to stay with us as we continue to report on the latest developments with the shutdown.
Meanwhile, Governor Wes Moore is rolling out new resources for Maryland's federal workers caught in the middle of the government shutdown. Moore says the state is stepping up to help families facing lost paychecks with support ranging from unemployment insurance to emergency loans and job training.
And Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller says no state feels the shutdown's impact more than Maryland, home to more than 260,000 federal employees and thousands of contractors. Maryland's congressional delegation is backing the governor, vowing to fight for federal workers while urging families to take full advantage of the help now available.
Marylanders are already feeling the impact. They're bearing the consequences while the president's policies have wreaked havoc on our economy. Shutdowns don't just stop government. They shortchange the very people who need government services the most.
And the federal government is at a standstill, but here in Prince George's County, the ripple effects are anything but distant.
And with thousands of residents employed by federal agencies or reliant on federal services, the shutdown is affecting everyone. More now from CTV's Noel James.
We're going into day 2 of the federal government shutdown. Huge numbers of federal workers have to either go to work with no pay or not go into work at all as their agencies have been closed. And I'm here at one of the busiest stations in the county, and we caught up with a few people. Here's what they had to say.
I feel it's sad that they got people out of work, because I got a friend that works for HUD. I talked to him yesterday. He said, man, I'm out of work. Be out of work tomorrow. I got to get another job. And so I think it's so sad that they putting people's lives in jeopardy, you know, losing income. That's hard for people.
The division with the two sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, have just overtaken people's humanity.
You know, it's a shame that there's so many people that are collateral damage because of the government's inability to make decisions. But we're very much encouraged by Governor Moore's commitment to have the state of Maryland help people find jobs.
From furloughed workers to delayed benefits, this shutdown is on everyone's mind. And for many, it's deja vu. Federal workers may also have to deal with potential mass firings during this shutdown. Officials led by the county executive Aisha Braveboy are urging residents to stay informed and seek support if needed.
We did not want this day to happen, but we also know that we can't live with our eyes closed. We needed to be ready. So we developed a resource page, mypgc.us/FedGov shutdown. And so government and nonprofit resources will be available on that webpage.
And this shutdown is hitting home hard. Prince George's is home to more than 70,000 federal employees who already faced layoffs at the start of the year with the DOGE cuts, and more cuts are expected to come during the shutdown. In New Carrollton, I'm Noel James for CTV News.
Thanks, Noel. Again, the website is mypgc.us/FedGov shutdown.
The White House says there may be mass layoffs because of the government shutdown. Vice President J.D. Vance says they are hoping they get enough Senate Democrats to support the 7-week spending bill. But in the meantime, White House officials are planning to lay off several federal workers, something that is usually not done during a shutdown. Vance placed the blame on the Democrats for the government shutdown. He said they may have to take extraordinary steps to ensure the people's government operates as well as it possibly can.
Well, some good news is that the federal shutdown is not expected to disrupt air travel in Maryland. While some services, such as those in national parks, are limited or frozen, air traffic control is expected to continue without interruption, while critical federal aviation employees continue to work. A prolonged shutdown could lead to issues. During previous shutdowns, employees working without pay had higher than usual rates of absences, which led to longer lines and delays. And during the government shutdown, PEPCO, WSC Water, and BGE are offering expanded support to our customers, even beyond usual services. The Maryland Public Service Commission issued a notice yesterday regarding the ban on gas or electric services being shut off during a federal government shutdown. So if your government pay is delayed, you may qualify for extended payment plans, temporary deferrals, or federal flexible billing options. PEPCO, WSC Water, and BGE are offering relief by suspending service turnoffs, waiving late fees for impacted federal workers, and offering extra support for those who need it most. You reach out to these companies by a phone or visit their websites for more information.
And local restaurants around the DMV are stepping in to help federal employees by offering special deals on foods and drinks. Thompson Restaurants, which operates 11 food brands such as Milk and Honey, Matchbox, and Makers Union, will be offering a 20% discount to federal employees who show a valid government ID at any of their locations in the region. And Rasa, the fast casual Indian restaurant, is offering their Shutdown chicken or veggie bowls for just $10. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Anaya Falcon. Still to come, purple lights were on full display last night as the county continues their fight to end domestic violence.
We have details on the sheriff's event when we come back. Stay with us.
I wish people knew that when you live in a small town like mine, it's much, much harder to find friends with common interests, especially ones my age. I often feel really alone.
Same here. Seems like every time we finally settle somewhere, I have to pack up and move again. By the time I make a friend, a real friend, I have to say goodbye to them.
I totally get it. I live in a big city, but it can feel just as lonely. It's tough, but it gets easier.
Honestly, I totally get what you're going through. It's nice to know that you feel the same.
You enjoyed my story. I really enjoyed your story as well.
Well, a federal civil case that has drawn regional attention continues today.
CTV's Katara Jones has been following this case and is outside the U.S. District Courthouse in Greenbelt with the latest.
That's right. Jury deliberations began today in what could potentially be a landmark case for police accountability here in Maryland. Now, this civil case involves Muhammad Magasuba, a fired Prince George's County police officer. His lawyers allege that Magasuba was discriminated against for his African heritage by the Prince George's County Police Department and other county officers. His lawyers also claim that the defendants created a hostile work environment and retaliated against Magasuba for 2.5 years. All of this stems from an incident where Magasuba was responding as backup to a 911 call back in 2019 where a white officer was arresting a black woman. Lawyers for Magasuba say he was encouraged to change his witness statement, but that Magasuba did not want to change it to justify the use of force that was used during that arrest. Magasuba was later fired from the county police department in 2021. Court documents show that county police had denied all the claims of racial discrimination, retaliation, and hostile work environment. Lawyers for Magasuba are seeking $4.5 million in compensatory damages. And CTV News will let you know the verdict when it becomes available. Katara Jones, CTV News.
Thanks, Katara. Muhammad Magasuba serves as the police chief for Capitol Heights.
Well, last night, the Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff and other local partners hosted the 12th annual Purple Light Nights event. The event is a reminder of the community's shared mission to end domestic violence. The night also honors survivors and victims of domestic violence. Sheriff John Carr talked about the importance of the event.
It's always important to talk about domestic violence and what happens in our families, in our homes. And one of the reasons why is people are stressed out. People need assistance. You're talking about how our families function, whether that be husband, wife, whether that be grandmother, grandson.
We are a full-service sheriff's office when it comes to dealing with domestic violence, from running the 911 calls to serving peace and protective orders, by having advocates on staff to provide resources to anybody who may need them when they're dealing in a domestic violence situation.
This year, the campaign expanded to include the Howard County Sheriff's Office.
And meanwhile, Attorney General Anthony Brown has joined a coalition of 20 attorneys in a general filing against the U.S. Department of Justice. The filing aims to block new restrictions on federal funding that supports survivors of domestic violence and other violent crimes. The suit challenges a rule barring states from using funds to provide certain legal services to undocumented immigrants or other individuals who cannot prove their immigration status. The coalition argues that the new policy is unlawful and are asking the court to stop the rule from taking effect in the states.
And the Greater D.C. Diaper Bank is gearing up for this year's hygiene kitting event and diaper drive. This is the first diaper drive and one of the largest that the organization is launching in Prince George's County. Some of the partners for this year's event includes council members Blagay and Watson, along with the Links Incorporated Willow Oak chapter, the Alpha Gamma Chi Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, just to name a few. And this Saturday, the organization is also hosting its first large-scale kitting event with more than 100 volunteers that will put hygiene products in kits for people who need it.
We provide diapers to partners, and there's been an increase in requests for formula and then hygiene items, and we're meeting a need. What we're learning is that SNAP and WIC do not cover these items, and 1 in 3 families are struggling to provide diapers, formula, body wash, detergent to launder their clothes, and period products. And so we thought this is a great time to attempt to launch that portion of our mission.
The diaper drive is this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the University of Maryland Capital Region Medical Center. There will be a drive-through drop-off box outside of the main entrance.
And hidden no more, a new symbol on Maryland licenses is giving police a crucial clue. Marylanders with hidden disabilities like autism can voluntarily add a butterfly symbol to their driver's license, state ID, or even a moped permit. It's part of Eric's ID law, named after 20-year-old Eric Carpenter Grantham, who lives with high-functioning autism. The goal is to help first responders quickly respond when someone has a non-apparent disability, promoting safety, privacy, and better understanding in emergency situations.
I just want to say in Prince George's County, we have the highest amount of children with disabilities and hidden disabilities, and this law is going to change their lives. And for Linda, a mother's love can not only change the future of their own child, but it can change a county, it can change a state, and a mother's love surely can change a nation. I thank you, Linda, for continuing us all that we have that advocacy.
And officials say this isn't just about a new symbol on a card. It's about dignity, safety, and making sure every Marylander is recognized for who they are, not overlooked for what they can't be seen.
And still to come on CTV News, residents living in this apartment complex are calling for help as they continue to fight dangerous living conditions.
From a rodent infestation to toxic air quality, I have the full story after the break. Stay with us.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Residents at Avondale Apartments in Laurel are fed up and demanding a change. I spoke with residents who shared the rodent, pest, and health concerns the community has been dealing with. Mice, roaches, mold, chewed through goods, and toxic air quality. These are just some of the things that Avondale apartment residents say they've been dealing with for over 3 years.
I'm tired of this, but I can't afford to move. I find myself crying at night because I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't know what to do. My daughter lives about 20 miles away, and I can't impose on her.
72-year-old Celeste Janey is a retired principal who moved from Massachusetts. She and her service dog are constantly sick due to the toxicity of rodent waste in their apartment complex.
I have a service animal, and at the time he had no allergies and whatever. He's on medications now because of allergies, and he's coughing and sneezing, and I'm paying for medications for him and me.
A sad reality that she says breaks her heart.
I worked for the country, for the state, for 38 years. What? I'd be treated like this?
A feeling of frustration that 34-year-old Dori Alasaha and her 13-year-old son Xerxes understand.
We're talking mice pooping in our clothes, our shoes, our food, our cabinets. My son actually got sick for a week. He vomited for a week. I also was taken to the hospital via ambulance from here. I had severe diarrhea.
That's why Dory created a change.org petition that over 80 people have signed to demand a change. Dory worked from home in her Avondale apartment and homeschooled her 13-year-old son throughout the week. But the rodent infestation issue made it harder for them to continue their daily routine.
There was one night that they just started running all through our apartment, and I was like, no, I'm not about to go to sleep now, because there was like a pocket in my bed where I knew that the mice could also get in through there.
So they were displaced for hours in the hallway and rallied other residents to demand a change. Management responded by sending them to a hotel for a few days, a temporary fix that others weren't so lucky to receive.
It's expensive, like we pay our rent, and it's like they're spending the money on beautifying the residence instead of, the things that we need, like patching up the holes, exterminators.
Dory says management did eventually pay to address the rodent issue, but addressed it in a way that they knew would expose residents to asbestos. Martin Mitchell, candidate for County Council District 1, says the apartment's management has a history of handling things improperly. Mitchell says there was a dead body that was allegedly in a unit on the property for weeks, causing a stench in the hallways.
I was trying to hold them accountable because they didn't use a certified hazmat team. They used like a regular cleaning company. And when you're dealing with, a dead body and the decay, you got to make sure that, the hazmat team comes in and, basically neutralizes that whole area.
Mitchell and Dory have been rallying residents together and in talks with the city and county council to address these issues. Dory says she reached out to the mayor of the city of Laurel and hasn't received a response. CTV reached out to Avondale apartment management and received no reply. Dory says residents have been evicted and retaliated against by management due to making their voices heard, a scare tactic that she says won't stop her from fighting for change.
If you don't stand up for something, you'll go for anything.
And Dory and her son are currently displaced, staying at different people's homes. The Avondale apartment offered them 4 months of their rent back and no penalty for breaking their lease if they did not take legal action against them. Dory rejected their offer, and her court date is scheduled for December.
Well, a Maryland accountant has been sentenced to federal prison in connection with a $24 million COVID relief fraud scheme. 54-year-old Harold Dotson of Gaithersburg was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release, including 6 months of house arrest. Dotson, a tax preparer, used a phony business employees' monthly payroll costs and revenue to carry out the scheme. Dotson is charged in connection with the conspiracy to commit wire fraud affecting financial institutions.
And 41-year-old Philip Dupree of Pikesville and 38-year-old Mark Ross Johnson Jr. of Camp Springs were each found guilty of wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, arson, bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit bank fraud. Dupree, a former Fairmount Heights PD officer, and Johnson, a former Prince George's officer, conspired with others to carry out an insurance fraud scheme, which involved torching Johnson's Ford 450 truck and collecting the insurance money. The men also attempted to withdraw the pay out of the various ATMs, but then falsely claimed that the funds were stolen without permission. Both men are facing up to 70 years in prison.
All right, don't go anywhere just yet. It's time for our Thursday Sports Page.
That's right. What's going on today, Simon?
Hey everybody, and coming right up, an update on the status of Commanders QB Jaden Daniels as the team heads into their Week 5 matchup. Stay tuned.
My opponent is completely disregarding almost half of my arguments which I respond to.
Communities must step up.
Laws alone cannot stop the bullying.
Well, I completely disagree.
Point of inquiry, do you guys even realize that the #1 killer of children and teens are gun injuries?
You're probably starting to realize now, this is not a debate.
There is no adult in this earth that wants children to die.
I worry for my kids.
Okay, sports fans, let's get into your Thursday sports page. Now the UMD football team season is going pretty well so far, as the Terps are sitting at 4-0, which is the third best record in the Big Ten. Not only are there new players on the team, but there's also new feelings surrounding the team this season. This group of Terps seems to be very connected and truly have fun competing alongside one another. And wide receiver Octavian Smith touched on something the team does to help establish that camaraderie.
Every team meeting, we had like a brothers keepers moment where it allowed each other to, allowed us to be vulnerable in a sense, us as men, like we're told, like oftentimes, bottle your emotions, like not speak out or express your emotions because it's seen as weakness in a sense. And with the brothers keepers moments, like when we would come in a team meeting, they would say shuffle the deck, and it basically meant like everybody stand up and sit with a different group of people that you may not talk to often, or you don't know, things like that. Just sit with a different group of people, and a question would pop up, and it would be like a deep thoughted question. And oftentimes, like you see in the team meeting room, like it would be guys like crying, sharing their stories, hugging each other, things like that. And I think that was special.
The Terps will return to action on Saturday against Washington. Meantime, great news, Commanders fans. Quarterback Jaden Daniels has been medically cleared to return to practice. This comes after Daniels was forced to miss weeks 3 and 4 of the season due to a knee sprain he suffered in the team's matchup against the Green Bay Packers back in week 2. The former Heisman Trophy winner was a full participant in yesterday's practice after being limited last week. Here's Daniels on what it's been like for him being sidelined for the last couple of weeks.
Been tough. Obviously, as a competitor, you want to go out there and help your team in any way possible. So kind of being sidelined for this past couple of weeks, we're super tough. But DQ and my team, was there for me because they knew how much it meant to me. And I try to return that same energy, and I think I was able to do that.
And with Daniels being medically cleared, it seems more and more likely he will play in the team's game against the Chargers on Sunday. But nothing is official yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Meantime, some sad news out of the basketball world as college hoops legend and D.C. native Lawrence Moten has passed away recently. Moten was found in his Washington, D.C. home dead at just 53 years old. Moten, whose nickname was Poetry in Moten, made a name for himself playing for Syracuse from 1991 to 1995, where he was a walking bucket, averaging 19 points per game during his 4 years with the team. Moten climbed the ranks to eventually become the program's all-time leading scorer, a record he still holds to this day. He was drafted into the NBA and played in the league for 3 seasons with the then Vancouver Grizzlies and the Washington Wizards. The cause of Moten's death is unclear. He is survived by his daughter Laurencia, who previously worked right here at CTV News. And that wraps up your Thursday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thanks, Simon. Now let's get a look at your 3-day weather forecast.
Tonight, it'll be partly cloudy with a low of 52. And for our weekend, it's looking bright and sunny.
Tomorrow, we reach a high of 71. Saturday with a high of 76. And Sunday, we'll have a high of 77.
And for our community calendar, the icon and legend himself, T-Pain, is making a stop right here in the county, a part of his TP20 tour.
Get the chance to relive your favorite classics like Bartender or I'm Sprung, and buy you a drink like it's 2005 all over again. T-Pain, along with Amani White and Earth Gang, will be at the MGM National Harbor tomorrow, October 3rd at 8 p.m.
And for more information on how you can see the Grammy-winning artist, visit the website right there on your screen. That wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.
We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We can't play about our future or our finances. Make moves, set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. just save up, stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Free game to greater things. This is